Okay, guys, so the plan for today, obviously we played one game that was just a warm-up to get the sleepies out of our voices and out of our brains and, well, just for all-around fun. It felt good to own people. That's great stuff. So, I do have some replays here. There's nothing too special about them, although most of them are focused around team we don't have a name. The team that Swindlemelonzz is on, they've been practicing Swindlemelonzz, LezzQQ, iNsania, Haxxeren, and Freshpro. I don't know if some of these games were streamed. Obviously, like 4 of those people have streams. Not that I'm aware of, but for me, I need to learn lockpicking. Of course, the Fnatic tournament coming up today. I just want to get some experience with some of the lockpicking, just get used to it, and get with some of the theory crafting. So, going to keep it somewhat casual today. If any pro players pop into chat, more than welcome to hop on and chat with me and tell me all the bullshit that's coming out of my mouth that isn't right. By all means, that certainly is a possibility. So we're going to kind of get right into it here, unless there is some reason to delay further. I think it's just about that time. So here we are. Game number 1 is indeed Among Us. Like I said, I don't actually know that much about these games. They're really more just interesting matches I found. I was talking to some people about complaining about the lack of scrims and what to cast. So some match IDs were sent my way, and hence we have matches to cover. Now, like I said, if someone does pop on or pop online, by all means, co-casting is kind of fun. I think Sneaky is sleeping, and she's been having PC issues and all this other shiznaz. So at least for now, rolling solo, doing a little bit of learning on the fly, and that's about it. So, lock picking. Let's see if we can run through how it works, just so that I can prove to myself that I actually really understand how lock picking is. So first is the blind ban, same exact way as Mid Wars would go down. And as we see, both teams banning Silhouette, and Legion side going with Tundra, Hellborn side going with Pebbles. So they are all those 3 heroes now totally out of the pool. And then the locking phase is Among Us here from red to, I like that color, actually. I like that. Locked. It makes it stand out. That's good. That's good stuff. Still can't see my mouse, can you? Huh, that's kind of weird. Well, unfortunately, you guys can't see my mouse. What a bummer. What a bummer. So the locking phase, of course, the heroes get locked in. They are 4 of the 6 that are locked are going to be forced into the pool. So I know a lot of people have gone with this, some of that theory crafting. So, you know, we could probably webcam right here. There we go. So people have been talking about, like, well, what I don't like about it is that we could purposefully lock bad heroes, and then that forces you to take at least one bad hero, which certainly is a possibility. If you do the math, it makes sense. You add 3 to the 6 lock pool, and both teams have to pick 2. So you do control. Wait, no, yes, no. You don't know. Wow, they don't have to pick them. Okay, so all right. As you guys can see, I'm working through the logic of lock picking. So it doesn't make any sense to throw, really. You could put 3 really bad heroes on there, and then it depends on who has first pick. One of the teams is going to be stuck with one of the crappy heroes, but you might be that team if you don't have first. You're only that team if you don't have first. No, it's if you have last pick. So you don't want first. You want first pick if you're going to do that. All right, that's really weird. Forget it. Anyway, it seems that teams aren't doing that. That was when I talked to some teams at, or some players, I should say, at DreamHack. That was one of the big concerns, because like this. Keep in mind, we're like hanging out at DreamHack on Tuesday. That's like 3 days before this is coming out. So, you know, we're talking about it and, you know, what's going on, that kind of stuff. And a lot of the players were talking about some of their concerns. So that was one of them, that you can sort of force the hand of the opposing team. And that was a big issue. But it seems that strategy isn't quite as viable. The chances are you're going to have to pick up a shitty hero before the other team does, unless they're just like really stupid. Like they just are like, oh yeah, sweet. Pyromancer's on the board. Let's pick him up out of the locked phase. You know, like, unless the other team just does something dumb. But we'll see. Some of these replays, I did actually notice that the players were picking up some interesting heroes. I think I saw in a cursed game. I think actually this game has a couple of interesting picks. If I'm not totally mistaken, I think Freshpro actually ends up picking Artesia at some point, which I'm actually really excited about, because there's been a lot of talk about Artesia and what she's up to. Like, what can she do? So it's pretty neat. So bans Behemoth, Nymphora, Hammerstorm, Magebane, and Jeraziah. So just thinking about this from an analytical perspective, you have blind bans, and then you go into your traditional bans. And I have to wonder why are these teams banning these heroes in the, like, obviously both teams blind banned Silhouette. Why did they do that instead of banning her in this banning phase? And I guess the big difference is those are the heroes you absolutely don't want, period, because coming up in the locking phase, they could have locked in Silhouette, and then she's forced, well, not even forced to be on the board, but chances are she will be on the board if that's the case. So take out the heroes that are really scary early on, then save those remaining bans for the heroes that are annoying but not game changing. I would think about like Silhouette up here and Silhouette and Pebbles, and then this kind of makes sense actually. Seeing the way these bans are coming out, this is about the way I would go about it. Behemoth, Amphora, Hammerstorm, Magebane, Jerizaya, Polywog Priest. They're all great, annoying heroes, but I mean Magebane I'll take over a game, but still you get that not quite the same as Silhouette or Pebbles or. Tundra stands out a little bit. That seems like a kind of a silly. I mean, he's really good. I guess it makes sense. I don't know who else I would put there, so that's good. Maybe Ophelia if Respect Ban came out. So anyway, the picking phase has begun now, so it does just go back to the open picks, and then the last two for each side are the lock picks, where it really gets interesting, where those really meaty heroes are on the board. So this is definitely a lot different. You really have to think multiple steps ahead, which is sort of tricky. So what did Swindle's team do over here? They went a Bubbles first and picked up Pyro Artesia, so obviously a lot of magic damage coming out over there, which is interesting. A lot of AoE magic damage, actually. So what do we have left in our lock pool? Well, they still Meraxis, still have this, but no agility. So they're going to be going for a no agility lineup, which is sort of interesting. We'll see what Panny's team does. Of course, they did grab Dark Lady Glacius to start things off, and they're quickly running out of time for that last pick. And they're going to go Electrician. So it's interesting of these teams taking two different routes. The Hellborn side, very well-rounded, obviously. One of each type of hero. And then that gives them, I mean, I would think that gives them a lot of options coming into this next round. But I guess it's unsettling because you have to pick your wild cards before you get your locks. So unless you put your wild cards in your locks. But the thing to always remember is that the opposing team can snipe your locked heroes. So that's a lot of those, like, this on top of this, on top of this, on top of this, on top of this kind of logic. So that's cool. This is pretty wild. I'm feeling awesome here. Yeah, Dark Lady, I see some of you guys in chat. Dark Lady is actually really, really, really good against this lineup so far. For a couple of reasons. One, because after like the 25-minute mark, she is just going to be out carrying all of these heroes. And two, because she has a freaking silence that's going to shut down all these bad boys over here. So they do grab the Meraxis Aluna over here with their lock picks. And I guess you actually do. It goes 1-2-1 instead of 1-1-1-1, which is really important to note. So first pick is also last pick. So I had screwed up that logic I was talking about before, where if there are some throw picks in here, that last pick is the scary one, because you control three of those heroes. If you really wanted to, you could ensure that the team with the first lock pick also gets one of those three really crappy heroes. And I mean, you could make them anything. You could just go like, I don't know, like what are the worst heroes you can think of? Probably heroes that have been nerfed. Like just throw like Rod, Drunken Master, and like Martyr in there or something. Like just a terrible pool that's just gonna be interesting. Throw Swiftblade in there. Blitz, since he's pretty terrible. Blitz is pretty bad, I'm not gonna lie. I saw some statistic where it was like Blitz's overall win percentage like 38, like significantly lower than any other hero. It's so bad. It's terrible. Like Blitz is, I don't even know why he's in the game. Bad. Like it's pretty awful, pretty terrible. Bad. All right, let's move you over here, Mr. Replay Counter. I do declare, Mr. Beauregard. All right. So welcome to the game, guys. Just doing some casual replay casting, doing some solo casting at that. So keeping it a little casual today, doing my thing. Like I said, for me, just learning about lockpicking a little bit, and also seeing what this new potential team is up to. Swindlemelonzz, LezzQQ, iNsania, Haxxeren, and Freshpro here on the Legion side. So important things to note before we get too carried away. Haxxeren is still tagged up with teammates Gosu, and I can assure you that is not a sign of laziness, but indeed a sign that he has not left Team It's Gosu. Of course, there are talks about said things. Of course, Haxxeren has been practicing for this team quite a bit, and they have been practicing with this lineup. This seems to be the fairly steady lineup that these guys are going for here. But of course, nothing safe, nothing for sure. This could also be a case of Team Itsgosu right now is taking a little bit of a hiatus after DreamHack, sort of like Fnatic Raid Call. Haxxeren is not one such player that wants to engage in a hiatus, so who's he going to scrim with? Well, he made a new group of friends to hang out with during the midday when he wants to get his freak on in the Heroes of Newerth Realm. The Hellborn side, of course, not really a team either, sort of I'm going to go on a little side rant here. I don't understand why so many of these teams are just like constantly rotating around. The two that come to mind are Panny and Mega Beaver and HoN Portal. Those three things, they're just like, it's constantly like a shuffled roster with new people under a new name. Pick a fucking name, pick 5 fucking people you think that might work well together, and just play some goddamn Heroes of Newerth. Like, no one is benefiting from this like constant rebranding of all these new teams. Like, what is HoN Portal's goal? Is their goal just like keep a new team cycled in to their website that's filled with dead links? Like, what is their master plan? I just don't understand it. I have so much trouble saying, HoN Portal, yeah, they're looking pretty good. It's like, no, they're not, because it's called HoN Portal, but they're not even the same, remotely close to the same team we saw in HoN Portal last time. What? I just don't get it. So, who is this Hellborn team, you may ask? I haven't the foggiest. It looks like some portion of Fit, Better Looking Than You, Panny's team. I know he plays with SeQuenSe. I recognize some of these other names. They're all pretty damn good. They're in-house players. They're very, very strong. What are you going to do? It's one of those things. I don't really know them, but it's sort of two mismatched teams, and maybe we'll see this Hellborn. So maybe this is the new Better Looking Than You team. I don't fucking know. Sorry about that. One of my pet peeves with the HoN scene is I just don't get it. I just don't understand what it achieves by constantly rotating around teams. So let's take a look at some of these lanes now that Zyori is done ranting up in the top. Obviously, Electrician in a little bit of trouble. A 3v1 scenario, though. Magnus going to overcommit. SeQuenSe actually pick up that Bloodlust. Is going to pay at the cost of his own life. iNsania going to be the one to come out ahead here. And look at this Ophelia skin. Look at you, Mr. Beauregard. I actually have not seen this Ophelia skin in action, and I don't know what is this, like Dark Ophelia, Dark Zealot. That is a sick looking skin though. She looks kind of like Riftwalker. It's like a Ophelia meets Kraken kind of a skin. What the freaking hell is going? Like, what is that? Why does she have tentacles? Seriously, is that like a Ms. Kraken skin? Like, I'm so far gone right now. Wow, that is awesome. And she has dreads. We need more heroes with dreads, so I'm digging on that. That is really awesome. So yeah, up in the top lane, SeQuenSe going to be in trouble again. This suicide lane, Electrician really not working out so well. Is Magnus going to make the fatal mistake yet again? No, he's not, and that will allow SeQuenSe to survive. So perhaps if Swindle had manned up just a bit more into the tower, they could have secured the kill. But at what cost right there? Well, it probably would have been his own life. So it looks like we do have a little bit of sort of tri-lane action. I mean, the Pyro Magnus lane, of course, quite deadly. Electrician up here in the solo lane, and Ophelia here in the jungle. So it does open up some other 2v1 lanes. In the mid, we do have Artesia, Dark Lady, who I believe there was another hero here for the Hellborn side, but he's roamed down to the bottom. It is now Meraxis Glacius diving on this bubble. So Luna down here as well. If LezzQQ survives this, I will be more than shocked, though Glacius with his haste rune is in a little bit of a sticky wicket. Bubbles with a nice take cover shell surf is going to head towards home, so a bit of a misplay there from our Hellborn side. Luckily for Glacius, he is going to have that potion. He's going to heal back up to full, but LezzQQ might be in a good position to do some damage. Unfortunately, doesn't have enough mana for a shell surf here, short by about 35 mana or so, so not going to be able to set this up. A Luna going to come in, going to force back Bubbles, and he could be in a sticky situation yet again. Unfortunately, Luna's out here in no man's land. Love's team isn't showing him much love right now, but he's got enough for a power throw. He is level 3. Is that a level 2 power throw? It indeed is not. He's not going to connect anyhow. Or no, it is a level 2 power throw, pardon me. Level 1 Emerald Lightning, not going to connect, but Bubbles still hanging around. This is the weirdest ring around the rosy sequence I've seen here in quite some time. Panny going to miss that first axe. LezzQQ trying to make it happen. The last axe is going to connect. Panny on Meraxis is going to be the one to pick up that last hit there. So let's take a look at the GPM chart, see how everyone's faring. Of course, this Hellborn side up by a nice margin, sitting 2-1 on the kill score here. Meraxis leading the way as he's been farming quite nicely down here in the bottom, but the real scary wicket here is this Dark Lady Glacius lane. Not only is Dark Lady farming super nicely, but this Artesia is getting kind of shut down here. Some more action up in the top lane. And we are going to see Magnus survive. So Swindlemelonzz playing very forward, as you should expect effect here in this Pyromancer Magmus lane. This is one of these lanes that we've been talking about. It's like, it's making a comeback. I think it's made a comeback at this point. And it's just so damn good. As we can see here, this is kind of a perfect demonstration. Electrician, not the best hero to demonstrate on, arguably, because he's so freaking tanky, but he is still in big trouble. Doesn't have a port, actually. A power throw going to come in to try and support him, but unfortunately not going to happen. Swindle on that. Magmus going to get credit for the kill, now sitting 1-1-1 all the way across the board. So this Ophelia, man, iNsania have been jungling here aggressively, and he has met pretty much no opposition, and that's part of the reason this top lane, pseudo-tri lane, if you will, has been working so nicely. One of the things that I've said in the past a time or two about Magmus Pyromancer is that they need to really secure some kills early on. The whole point of this lane is to shut down that lane, pick up some early kills. The farm is not going to scale on these two heroes, so you have to make sure you shut down whoever you're up against. And they're really great in that kind of dual lane, all-on dual lane here. So up in the top, it's great to see them actually picking up kills on that Electrician. And I think one of the mistakes from this Hellborn side is not checking that Ophelia, not even putting any pressure on. Do see in the mid, though, great news for this Dark Lady picking up a kill on the Freshpro after a small little tower dive there. And that actually gives us a great opportunity to talk about who she's up against here in the mid lane. Artesia, the talk of the town a little bit, and I've actually had a couple questions from people just sort of randomly. What do you make of Artesia? What's going on with that hero? You know, is she good? Is she going to come around? And we will talk about her eventually, I swear, but more action up in the top lane. Electrician going to lose his tower. Not going to be able to secure the deny, though he is going to be able to survive. Plenty of mana regen, and with all three heroes up here spamming those abilities, that mana battery is just soaking up the charges. And he is in good shape. Anyhow, Artesia, a hero with a lot of problems, I think, is a good way to explain that hero. Sort of similar to Soulstealer in the sense that, yeah, she can farm fairly effectively. She does have a great global presence, which makes her very appealing to a lot of team lineups. One of the reasons why Luna is so appealing in our current metagame. Of course, the ultimate is that global presence that I'm talking about. Essence projection can be placed anywhere with that 99999 range. The problem, though, she has glass cannon syndrome. She has that lack of getaway, or in this case, he's got that blood elf skin on. That lack of escape mechanism. So in the mid lane, as we see Artesia really struggling quite a bit. It can't handle a 2v1 lane. And, you know, I said Soulstealer syndrome, but maybe even kind of a Midas syndrome is a better way to explain this here, where she needs to be solo, needs that solo experience for that scalability, really could use a couple of early kills or some solid farm early on to transition into that carry role, but unfortunately can't really play that solo style lane so well. I think Artesia is a hero that's sort of Anachronos, where she would fit really well into a 2-1-2 style metagame where you can kind of secure that solo lane almost every game, or at least the majority of the games, where you have heroes like Polywog Priest, Soulstealer really starting to shine. You know, back when Slither actually had a spot in our metagame. Now, heroes like that just don't fare so well. There are too many of these bursty, ganky heroes, kind of, as some would say, S2 heroes, but these Parasite-style heroes that put out way too much burst damage for heroes like Artesia to handle. And I think this mid lane is a pretty good demonstration of, because it is in the hands of Freshpro, you know, he is a very solid player, very used to that 2v1 suicide lane style. So in the mid, he really hasn't conceded too many deaths, but again, what's the opportunity cost here? Well, he's farming lowest in the game on the Legion side, or around 130 GPM, while Dark Lady's up at 330. While Glacius is, you know, this is also opened up a window for Glacius to move around the map and be a little more active. Down here in the bottom lane, though, a Luna going to get caught out after a bit of a funky engage. Actually, iNsania going to be the one to pick up that kill. Non-stop action in the top lane as well. Electrician in big trouble. Glacius going to come in. May have enough support here. Beautiful freeze on a Magmus, who does have a Lava Surge up, but he's not going to be able to connect. That's exactly what I'm talking about. The lack of pressure on Dark Lady, opening up that window for Glacius to move around, and right there preventing Electrician from going down. So we can see the spillover effect of Artesia in this game a little bit. Freshpro has just not had a presence in this match. Looking at the stats, sitting 0-1-0, so that global presence not kicking in, as he has just now hit level 6, sort of on par with everyone else, but he'd like to hit that a little bit earlier to be a bit more active. Really need that bonus gold, at least from assists, by using that essence projection. One of the other problems with Artesia, very mana intensive hero, arguably not very mana efficient either. You really need that, if not Ring of Sorcery, an early Grave Locket, or at the very least just an early Talisman of the Exile, just something to get those stats up and be able to spam those abilities. Right now, he just can't spam that Arcane Missile, and if he drops Essence Projection, that's a big chunk of it. That's about a third of his mana pool right there, plus you want to spam right when that ult's down. So, a hero that really requires a lot of core items. Pardon me for missing that kill down in the bottom lane, though they did secure that kill onto Bubbles. LezzQQ went down. So Panny actually having a good game on Mirax. That's 300 GPM now, second in the game, only to that of Dark Lady, who is just continuing to soak up Le Farm here in Le middle lane. Looked like they were going to be able to set up a kill, but unfortunately weren't able to make it happen. So, I am really glad, though, that Artesia is being experimented with. And that's one of the reasons why I did pick Swindlemelonzz team. I'm just going to keep calling him Swindle's team because he is generally a leader. Of course, he's the drafter here sitting blue. So it just seems appropriate. You know, I got to meet him also at DreamHack. So I feel like, you know, pretty much every HoN player that I had a little bit of a skirmish with or have had a falling out with or I feel kind of uncomfortable about, I got the opportunity to meet, shake their hand, and either apologize or, you know, make friends or whatever it was. Peter Pan Dam and Swindlemelonzz being two of those people that I was sort of on rocky territory with, and, you know, actually got to have a couple drinks, get some of that liquid courage going, and you know, be that sociable Zyori. So feeling good, feeling good. All right, we see up in the top lane here, Ophelia going to be able to get away. I almost said Artesia because I didn't recognize the skin. I was like, I don't know the skin. I'll say Artesia because that's the wild card here. But I do like that Swindle's team tends to experiment a little bit more. And that was one of the things talking to Nova where he's like, I don't understand why TDM plays the same heroes and scrims over and over and over again. He's like, that's not what scrims are for. Those are your bread and butter heroes. We all know that you guys know how to play Bubbles, Silhouette, Electrician, Miraxis, those heroes you run every game. Scrims are your opportunity to experiment, you know? He said, I'm actually curious about Artesia because that was one of the heroes Nova was talking about. He's like, you know, sit down and just play 20 games with Artesia. Who cares if you lose all 20 of them? Nothing's on the line. It doesn't matter. We do see some engage down here in the bottom. Dark Lady going to come in and secure the kill onto Haxxeren on that Pyromancer. Our Legion team in full retreat mode here. Not looking so good. Beautiful stun coming out from Swindlemelonzz. Will buy his team some time and actually may buy some tickets out of hell, although maybe not for LezzQQ. He's going to fall. Double tap coming out now for Dark Lady. Swindle on the run. Does have a Lava Surge as well as a Steam Bath. Just looking for those chances to disjoint anything coming his way, but not even going to have to. It looks like he's going to be able to survive. So Swindle doing what he can to keep his team alive, but unfortunately 2 kills going to come out in favor of Dark Lady. Going to head to the mid lane. Not going to be able to secure that deny. So iNsania finding a positive amongst 2 negatives there in the bottom is going to be able to secure that tower kill in the mid lane. Very well done by this Ophelia, who is now taking over as lead farmer here for the Legion side, though. I do think Swindle's team is still in a bit of trouble here. They are definitely not in great shape. Just looking at the overall stats up in the top lane, we see SeQuenSe engaging onto Swindle. That's what happens when a level 9 Electrician engages on a level 5 Magmus. Pardon me. Still a bit sick, so you gotta bear with me. My apologies. Still hacking up all that DreamHack phlegm. Anyhow, not a hell of a lot Swindle could do right there. So, well done by SeQuenSe, though. And, you know, SeQuenSe actually having a hell of a game right now. He was up in that suicide lane, and he was actually struggling quite a bit. You know, conceded 2 very early kills, but now leading the way in experience per minute right alongside that Dark Lady. So that is certainly good news. Miraxis down in the bottom lane, going to activate that ultimate, and shall be able to survive safe and sound indeed. Oh my gosh, I was just about to talk about Panny and I totally screwed the pooch. So Dark Lady starting to get out of control as I aforementioned in the picking phase. One of the problems with this Legion roster is that it's a little bit too burst intensive, I think. You know, with a team like this, they needed to really pull ahead in the early game. It needed to be 8-3 right now, and then they needed to capitalize on that. Take that burst damage you have from Bubbles, Magmus, Pyromancer, and even Artesia and just shut down this Dark Lady. I think Papa S here with a very smart play, going for that Helm of the Black Legion first, straight into Mystic Vestments. Super, super smart here. Giving that burst damage, you just need that max HP to absorb some of that damage. Give you a little bit of a buffer for that spillover damage. So, you know, I think one of the big problems here for Swindle's team as well is they were almost a little doomed from the start. I'm just not a big fan of the Pyromancer Magmus duo up against the Singleton lane, especially like Electrician. You know, they put Electrician in the suicide lane for a reason, and it's because he's tanky and not susceptible to that bursty lane combo. We see their burst just not really that great right now. Now that Dark Lady has those core items, it simply isn't enough. Artesia going to drop that ultimate, and actually they do pick up a kill. Freshpro with the ultimate is actually the one to pick up the kill right there, so you can see the power of that global presence with Artesia. One of the problems, though, is it is focusable. That ultimate goes down in 3 shots, just like Engineer's ultimate, and it does pay out a nice 100 gold whoever picks up that last hit. Doesn't matter what your raw damage is, it's just 3 auto attacks. So if the opposition just turns and focuses it down right away, it can actually limit that global pressure from Artesia quite a bit. So it's again one of those things that makes that hero very, not necessarily weak, but very easy to shut down. I think that's really a good way to describe it, because Artesia, if left unchecked, if you don't focus that ultimate, if you just let him do his thing, can do a ridiculous amount of AoE damage. So it's one of those things like, yeah, he's strong, but really easy to counter. Maybe a noob cannon, I don't know what you want to call it. You're going to see Swindlemelonzz in a little bit of trouble here. Is going to eat a Glacius Freeze. Unfortunately, looking like he was going to be able to survive, but Electrician going to port in right in the nick of time. Is going to be able to set up a kill onto Ophelia here. It looks like the tower does get denied. Double tap now coming out. Actually, single tap coming out for Dark Lady. He did get the deny. No, Panny trying to man up on this Bubbles. Does have Portal Key coming up in 5 seconds. Will have enough mana as well, but not going to have anything to slow him down if he does hop in. So it looks like our Hellboard side may be able to follow up that tower deny with a tower kill of their own. In the mid lane, Pyromancer going to run into a little bit of trouble here. The stun not going to connect with either hero, particularly that of Dark Lady, who is now on an onslaught 6-0 in 1. So this was a great read from Panny's team, maybe even just Panny as he is the drafter, picking up Dark Lady, recognizing that this Legion side is very early game intensive. You really have 2 ways of dealing with that. You can pick a team that's equally strong in the early game and just have a very aggressive early to mid game and try and catch an edge by outplaying your opponents, or you can say, alright, you're going to go aggressive, we're going to go a slightly more defensive tank oriented team with a hard carry who's going to shine after your heroes have peaked. Some great drafting there from our Hellborn side, and it's paying off. Obviously, with Dark Lady sitting 6-0-1, sitting just below 400 GPM, TDL is in great shape. So to be honest, this is one of these games where it feels like it's pretty much over already. The golden ticket for our Legion side was winning this game before things got out of control from the Hellborn perspective. At this point in the game, have a nice lead that they can capitalize on. The whole goal is, once you get to this point where you're starting to transition into the mid game, is you want to be able to say, all right, well now, even though our heroes aren't peaking and they're starting to slow down, our lead is what's keeping us afloat. That item advantage is giving us further tilt, that kind of team snowball. They haven't done that whatsoever. Just looking at their inventories, there's not a hell of a lot to speak of. iNsania does have a nice early Astrolabe, which certainly is good. He's got those core items, which is one of the great things about Ophelia, picking up all that early farm, still seeing around 275 GPM. But they don't have much else to speak of. Haxxeren plays a mean Pyromancer, but unfortunately 0-2-2. Again, to go back to that top lane, I think they should have rotated these lanes around. Put these heroes in the bottom where they at least had a squishy Illuminer to pick on. Move around and even go to the mid lane. Maybe putting Pyromagmus against this Dark Lady Glacius would have been a better way, because even if they can't kill that Dark Lady, just slow down her farm, they can still pick on that Glacius if he makes one forward misstep. With Electrician, it doesn't really matter if he makes a misstep. And to be honest, it doesn't even really matter if you kill him once. We see down here in the bottom a Luna getting taken out, and that's actually a great example of what I was talking about. You can take that aggressive lane and put it in a situation where you just can secure a kill on that support or force that support out of the lane. That's what you want to do. Instead, they put Artesia mid, who doesn't pick up any farm, doesn't slow down Dark Lady, and doesn't really get anything great from that. Artesia would have been much better suited, I think, to just go suicide against Electrician. Up in the top here, we see everything being dropped to take out SeQuenSe. And wow, that was a lot used. Even the Artesia ultimate. All the while, though, Artesia did get taken out down here in the bottom lane. Looking like Ophelia is going to fall as well. iNsania, nowhere to go. No escape mechanism here. Miraxus, actually with a double damage rune on, is going to be able to secure that kill. So unfortunately, a 2-for-1 exchange all across the map when it's all said and done, going in favor of Panny's team there on the Hellborn side. One of the other problems with this Legion team, especially since they don't have that huge amount of farm, they don't have a lot of initiation power right now. They have really 3 heroes that greatly benefit from a portal key, but none of them are even close to forming it up. Haxxeren getting a little bit close here, but still almost kind of a too little, too late kind of a deal with Pyromancer's portal key in this game. That's one of the problems. Their team, although very aggressive, doesn't feel like a very solid roster this early on. They're kind of getting picked apart. I think some of that as well is they have a team that is lacking the escape mechanisms. They have 3 heroes here that are very susceptible to that kind of Midas syndrome, where they get locked down so hard but don't have the best laning presence as far as being able to farm effectively. Kind of holding them back, whereas this Hellborn side, they just don't have the escape mechanism as well, but they have those tanky heroes. know, I think it's almost fair to say Panny's team outdrafted a little bit here, picking up those tanky heroes in counter to the early burst, as well as you know, picking this Dark Lady, ensuring their golden ticket to victory once this game sort of meets that certain point, meets that point of no return. See Dark Lady going to engage onto Artesia, just easy peasy kills. Freshpro still sitting on red boots. He was able to get his Ring of Sorcery, but just totally locked down. Artesia definitely a snowball hero. I think he's a hero that either needs to be in a really good lane comp or needs to be in a solo situation. But I think this game is a fair demonstration, not necessarily of Artesia's power, but of Artesia's weaknesses and why laning is so important to that hero. Really has to have a good laning presence. You know, a hero like Soul Stealer, even if he doesn't have the best laning presence, he gets locked down early on, they gank him. One of the things that still makes him a very scary hero is he has that huge farming potential. Those Demon Hands are, if not the best, one of the best farming tools in the game. And it just allows him to build those souls and become a scary presence in just a couple of minutes of free farm. It really doesn't take much. Kind of like Era on Dark Lady. It doesn't take a hell of a lot for him to get out of control. So that's sort of the same well, not same kind of a thing, but just another comparison to put Artesia's place into perspective. Because that is, when I hear that question, well, what do you think of Artesia? What's she going to do for the metagame? I have to think, well, what does she bring to the table? What is her role? Is she a support? Is she a carry? Is she that kind of semi-carry, kind of like when a Luna gets really farmed? There's a couple of different things. I don't know. Where does she really fit in? Sort of just that early kind of snowball, kind of like fits in pretty similar to a Pyromancer, actually, is where I would say, you know, that really strong with the early aggression, but unfortunately, you know, not the best scalability, really needs that good start. See up in the top lane here, we see some exchange back and forth. Freshpro actually going to be able to pick up that kill on the SeQuenSe thanks to that global presence, and here you go. Like I was saying, if you don't focus down that essence projection, it can do a lot of damage. It ends up being a 2-for here, a 2-for-1 exchange. Pyromancer for the Glacius Electrician combo, and a lot of that was because of Freshpro. Let's take a look at the damage chart breakdown, and Artesia actually is holding her own. You know, our Freshpro sitting 2-4-2, hasn't been that active as far as picking up hero kills, but still doing a pretty considerable amount of damage, on par for the course, right there in the middle of the pack. So that's good news, I think you could say, for Artesia. And also speaks, well, not good. Now, what am I saying? Why do I feel the need to add in those useless words that aren't saying anything? It doesn't say anything. It just shows that Artesia can do some damage. Even in a situation where her farm is bad, he's sitting on Red's boots, has no plus damage items, is still able to actually put out a lot of damage. Just imagine if Artesia had a lot of farm, how much damage he would actually be putting out right now. Just to put this in perspective. This game is over, though. Dark Lady just terrassing around Manhattan, just doing too much damage. You see the ward of Rev coming out. Magma's gonna fall. I think it's about time we see Swindlemelonzz team tap out here. Call the G motherfucking G's, and we can move on to our second game of the day. I actually didn't look at the timers. I haven't looked at these games too much other than the heroes that are selected, so I don't really know when they tap out or that kind of stuff. Although it is a replay, I haven't really spoiled it. GPM chart. Looking pretty good. Dark Lady at 500 GPMs. So, interesting though, and you know, I always have to wonder. All right, now is this just lock picking? Oh, there's a lot of factors to look at here. Was this Swindle's team just trying out an interesting roster? Was there some of the lock picking that influenced their decision making that made this super aggressive all magic roster look a little more appealing? Or is it just a case of they wanted to experiment and they got outpicked because I helped one side was like, sweet, they picked these heroes, well, we're going to go Dark Lady. Not only is she a carry, but she's got a silence. Boom, biggity boom. I mean, she's still not even that farmed in the way of items. I mean, a Runed Cleaver, 22 minutes in, with a Helm of the Black Legion. I guess for how early on it is, she's pretty farmed, so that's even more bad news here. Let's just check this bad boy. Looks like it's almost done. So I have a feeling there's going to be kind of one more cataclysmic team fight kind of a deal, and then we'll see some GGs come out. So we'll hang in there. We'll be troopers. We're only 22 minutes in. If we were an hour and 22 minutes in, I might be a little more eager to just move on. But no, we'll let her run out here, even though there isn't a hell of a lot to note. I think we've noted a lot of the important facets of this game, at least. Yeah, Haxxeren with this portal key, it's just too little too late. I mean, he's 0-3 and 4. Like I said, like Artesia, you just have to get a better start than that. You need to secure those early kills. You need to be in a position where you have an aggressive lane comp and you can pick on those supports. It's not so dissimilar to Parasite, where he shines in a game that he can pick on somebody. And this actually would have been a pretty damn good game for Parasite if the Hellborn side had picked up a Para instead of, like... I mean, I don't know who you would replace. All of their heroes played a good role in this game, but you need to just place Glacius or something. Could have been quite good. You see Panny in the top lane. Look at that. Mirax is going to absorb all that damage, turn on the ultimate, and actually try and turn it around. Not sure why he popped the ultimate there. Did open up a window for Haxxeren to pick up that kill. Interestingly enough, though, no assist came out there. I don't know what that... Why did Haxxeren get solo credit for that kill? I think it has something to do with the Mirax's ultimate that screws it up. Anyhow, we do see some engagement up in the top lane, though. Bubble's going to come in, not going to be able to do a hell of a lot. Glacius going to drop that freeze on a Pyromancer. There's the Glacial Downpour. Love going to be able to finish off LezzQQ. Pyromancer left in no man's land. He's going to fall, and we're going to see Swindlemelonzz in big trouble. 3 seconds left on that Lava Surge. Does have 15 charges up on that power supply, but look at that Aluna positioning. Oh, look at that timing from Swindlemelonzz. Beautifully done. No cancel cast coming out from Love, but it doesn't seem to matter. GG well playeds come out from LezzQQ. Swindlemelonzz gonna fall before the game ends. Actually, the vote does fail, but obviously the game is over, I would imagine. Another vote will come out reasonably quickly here. Interesting pickup from Freshpro here as the game ends. Void Talisman, an extraordinarily powerful item on Artesia. Unfortunately, we didn't really get to see it in action here, but alas, it is a very, very powerful item. So, just something else to note as we see more Artesia in the future. You know, a strong item pickup. So let's see here. Can I just view the stats of that replay afterwards? Here we are. And there it is. So the final stats of our first game here.